Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And my inside sources say that Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired at the end of the year. Yeah.
For real this time?
For realsies. It only took 8 years for her to finally get going. Yeah, so this is actually coming from Puck News, and all the media outlets are running with it, so I'm assuming it's valid, or they would have backpedaled by now. Last night, the news broke that she is reportedly stepping down from Lucasfilm at the end of the year. Good.
Yeah, well, it's about damn time, if true. You know what? I'm not even getting my hopes up anymore, because I know her one contract was pretty much ending last year, and she's still there. So I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Let's put it that way.
I think in this case, she's in her 70s. She sold her house, I think, a year or two ago, and she apparently wasn't very happy about the South Park thing. And Disney's course correcting right now. Like, look, you might not. Well, okay, in some ways they're course correcting. In other ways, they're digging themselves a deeper hole.
She didn't like the South Park thing. Well, here's the thing: don't earn it.
Don't earn it.
You earned that they even made fun of you. You're such a joke, and it makes no sense to anyone that South Park even made fun of you. You don't earn it then.
You earned the scorn. So let's talk about this and what this might mean. And I'm gonna be honest. I actually agree with Forbes. Eric Kane on Forbes is like, yeah, this might not save Star Wars. This probably isn't going to save Star Wars.
Oh, it's too late.
But I don't think it's possible. I feel the same way about Star Wars that I feel with like Doctor Who. I think it's so far gone at this point. The brand is so damaged that I don't see there being any kind of a comeback anytime soon. But let's talk about the strange case of Kathleen Kennedy and why the hell Disney kept her years beyond her expiration date.
Oh yeah, she's way past expiration.
I mean, she's definitely like it was. Yeah. Anyway, before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants, guys. You will get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
If you're looking to get notifications, if you're not getting notifications on YouTube, go out to clownfishtv.substack.com. Every time we post a video, we'll post a link over there. You will get notified. Not our fault if YouTube is not sending them. Mm-hmm. So this comes from Variety. Star Wars boss Kathleen Kennedy is planning to exit Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. She intends hopefully
for realsies.
For real this time. She intends to retire after her current contract ends, according to a source with knowledge of her plans. A separate source close to Kennedy, however, dismissed the initial report by Puck as pure speculation and said nothing has been decided. All the media outlets are running with it. I think there's some truth to it. I mean, she already sold her house. Star Wars is at an all-time low. In fact, people were talking the other day on Twitter. I saw a post about how Star Wars, the toys, had their best year ever in like 2010 or 2011. And this was, years after the prequels. They were, between movies, and Star Wars toys were still selling very, very well because people loved those characters. And then as soon as Disney got a hold of it, the whole thing collapsed.
Mm-hmm. They are the empire, in case they didn't figure that out yet.
Kennedy joined Lucasfilm in 2012 as co-chair alongside Star Wars creator George Lucas. Shortly after Lucas exited his post as Disney acquired the company for $4 billion, and she became president. Now, this is the thing with Kathleen Kennedy, because, I mean, when she was first announced, and Star Wars Holocron actually brought this up on Twitter, her name was attached to so many of these great 80s, 90s movies.
Mm-hmm. So people were like, oh, this is good. This is a good way to go. Yeah.
I thought it was too. I'm like, oh, she understands 80s movies. She's perfect for the role. Not realizing what she did or didn't do when she was working with Steven Spielberg. Part of the reason she was there as long as she was could be that George Lucas built something into the contract so Disney couldn't just turn around, because she was his pick. And
I don't know if he did.
I don't know. But I'm giving up on, like,
you know what? Here's the thing, though. I've never seen a company do everything. Like, if there is something that you can do that was going to shoot yourself in the foot and screw you up, Disney does it. So I don't know if they're angling for write-offs or what, but I've never seen a company like, you have to try to fail that hard at this point, just across the board with Disney. And it doesn't make sense to me why Kennedy's still there. Especially after The Last Jedi, and the fact that it didn't do well. It fell off a cliff right after. I mean, it started out okay, and then it fell off a cliff. and there was clearly no plan, clearly no overreaching story. Then you had Ryan Johnson and company out there literally attacking fans, and you completely split the fandom, and those are your dollars in half. And then by Rise of Skywalker, you divided that even more. That she still had a job, because if money was what you wanted to make, these choices were not good. Then you had a win with Favreau and Filoni with The Mandalorian, and then you found a way to fuck that up too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because they're saying if it's true, if she is leaving in December 2025, she'll be leaving before The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out. But that being said, like, how much was she actually involved in that, right? There's been some discussion that she really wasn't involved in it. But yeah, that fell off a cliff too. That was like, Star Wars was starting to lurch back to life with The Mandalorian. Okay, people were like, okay, we'll come back, we'll give it a shot. And then it was like a 1-2 punch. It was the show got stupid, right? And then the Gina Carano situation. And so they just like blew off both legs with a shotgun at that point. And now people are like, you know what? Fool me once. And we're out. Completely.
Well, we're already seeing it. Even the shows are doing bad. Acolyte. We all know what happened there. Skeleton Crew, people say it wasn't that bad, but people didn't watch it because they were over it with the Acolyte.
Same with Andor. I still haven't watched it, but people have said it's actually pretty good. But
second season comes out in April, so
who cares? But yeah, I mean the sequel trilogy. I mean, look, this is beyond a dead horse, right? This is a gutted tauntaun. But the sequel trilogy, there was no plan. That should have been the first indication that, like, okay, yeah, she's got to go. You can't even get 3 movies. You can't even get a damn sticky note to kind of sketch out what's going to happen in each of these movies, the bare bones. And I understand that's what George Lucas did, but he's the guy who made it. They were making it up as
they go. Writing 101. I mean, if you're writing or doing any kind of creative job or something like this, and you're going to have multiple, episodes, like, different movies in this, you have to figure out, okay, we're doing 3 parts. We're doing a trilogy like we used to do. What's the main, middle, and the end? And you know what you're going to do, where you're heading. They were just setting stuff up. I'm doing it, letting somebody else do what they wanted. And it was a complete disaster. And then they tried to walk it back at the end and bring the Emperor back and all that shit. Complete disaster. And that's just part of the disasters under her. There's been so many. It's a running joke now, creative differences. Everybody gets fired. Why do we have the little Leia show instead of, actual Obi-Wan Kenobi show about him and Luke? Because of Kennedy and co. Yeah,
they're actually bringing up in Variety. They said, the triad of Skywalker-centric blockbusters experienced diminishing returns. They said The Force Awakens did, $2 billion globally. Rise of Skywalker, it did do $1 billion, but that's like half as much as The Force Awakens. You could see it movie after movie, more and more.
It should have got more and more and more. It should have snowballed the other way.
It should have. Solo lost money, and Solo I didn't think was terrible. I
forgot about Indiana Jones. They have that up too.
Indiana Jones, it only did $383 million globally against a $295 million budget, losing around $140 million for the studio. They said Star Wars has struggled to return to the big screen after the Rise of Skywalker, but she's had so many other movies in the production that she's canceled. They're all shelved.
Patty Jenkins,
James Mangold, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi.
It's not every time you turn around, there's somebody else assigned to the Rey movie, the Rey trilogy, whatever. They're constantly, it's like one creative difference firing after another Lucasfilm parade with this woman. And then, because then it goes, and everything gets changed. Like Obi-Wan's supposed to be one thing. They got a new writer, completely changed it. And then we had a little Leia show and all that crap.
Yeah, because she keeps wanting to I believe it's her. I believe it's her at the top making these decisions. She keeps wanting to push Star Wars in a more female-centric direction. And this doesn't work. I mean, we've seen time and time again. They've had female protagonists. We've seen the toys sit in the shelves. They don't know their audience. I mean, you can want to change the audience, but you're stuck with the audience that you have, right?
Here's the thing. They've had an audience built up for decades. And we showed that study before where they looked at Marvel and they looked at Star Wars. And where Marvel can have a couple crossover into more female-centric audience, Star Wars is solidly in the male side. The closest they got was Deal with the Mandalorian towards a female audience. And that does not mean that there aren't diverse people who like Star Wars. There's always been diverse people who like Star Wars. There have always been first. Look at the pictures. People waiting in the line. Men, women, kids, all different races, everything else. Everybody loves Star Wars. It was not something that needed diversified. And they keep trying to make it into something else, like the X over Luke's face and all this other crap. And all they did was ruin it. You have decades of fans, and you somehow managed to you got what you got. You got what the new fans you wanted, but they're not that many, and they're what you got what you wanted. Unfortunately, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. They basically are left with, and this is just like what happens with every other classic franchise that chases the quote unquote modern audience. They get a bunch of like progressive freeloaders that don't really buy stuff, but they cause a lot of problems and they complain online. And
it's not even them now. It's the mainstream media, and that's the actors. Like in The Acolyte, the actors were out there.
The actors
going after people. Yeah. Like what gets me about this is people are allowed to say that they like these shows, and you're supposed to like, okay. And I'm like, if you like it, you're allowed to like it. I have no problem with it. Where I have a problem with it is if I say I don't like it, then I'm a terrible person, istophobe, and they think they have a right to call you names and bully if you don't agree with them. And I don't know. Hell no.
Well, the whole thing with Lucasfilm was, I mean, that rabbit hole went deep. I mean, you want to talk about all the stuff that's, coming to light with, the regime change in the White House and Musk and, uncovering what was going on with Twitter and the USAID supposedly bankrolling journalism and all that. I 100% believe that there were people at Lucasfilm, activists at Lucasfilm, that were trying to, shut up channels like ours.
Oh, rewriting Ripley. The one chick was from there.
She was from there. So they were going out of their way to try to paint anybody that said anything negative about Star Wars as being a literal Nazi. And
the problem is so many people didn't like it. Like you can't do that because you have a whole silent majority.
Well, that's like I did the video yesterday talking about, Rob Liefeld said that Kevin Feige needs to step aside. And talking about how the media is no longer defending Marvel, right? They're not defending Marvel. They're like, it is what it, because normally, like with Captain America, everybody be like, oh my God, guys, look, the bigots are mad. Look how much money Captain America made. And they're like, no, actually, this is diminishing returns, movie after movie after movie. And it's kind of that, it feels like we're at that place with Star Wars, or we've been at that place with Star Wars, at least for a couple of years now, where it's okay to say, yeah, these Disney Plus shows suck. Star Wars is a brand in decline. If you said Star Wars was in decline in 2018, we know firsthand they would call you a literal Nazi. And now it's just accepted as fact. Star Wars is in decline, right? And you can point the finger at Kathleen Kennedy. The buck stops here. She's at the, and because it's not just Star Wars. It was also Indiana Jones. It was also Willow. Every
franchise of value she ruined.
Right. Everything Lucasfilm had that had value on her watch became completely devalued. Okay.
Well, yeah, why? Because every one of those things they tried to make it girl power.
Girl power. Yeah.
They kept trying to change the audience. And again, people keep saying, well, there's nothing wrong with making it female. There were women who loved all those shows before. It's a male audience predominantly. That's what it was. That's what it probably still is. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that does not mean that people who aren't male don't like these shows. That's not true. But that's what she did. Indiana Jones, and then to make it about his goddaughter. And then we had Willow, and then to make it about, all this, like the princess and her, girlfriend and all that. And then, we saw what happened with Star Wars, and they keep trying to push diversity and inclusion and all that crap. And there's nothing wrong with it because there was already diversity in it. But you did it in such a way that it wasn't organic. It was to push a narrative. And people are tired of it.
I keep thinking, like, even the Millennium Falcon, they even turned the Millennium Falcon into a chick with a chick robot.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because the chick robot they put, for those of you who haven't seen Solo, the Falcon, I guess the reason the Falcon's so temperamental is they take Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She ruined Indiana Jones too. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's droid, who I can't remember the name, they took her brain out.
Activist droid.
Activist droid rights. They took her brain out and stuck it in the Falcon, which is why the Falcon's such a miserable bitch, I guess. When they can't get started half the time because they say the right things.
So they're hitting the Falcon. Are they hitting a woman?
Are they slapping her? Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Work, bitch.
Work, bitch.
Someone needed to do that to Kathleen Kennedy. Sorry.
Hey, Work, bitch, just get. So this is coming from Forbes. This is Eric Kane, and he's right in this because, like, even if she does retire, Kennedy leaves behind a mixed legacy. That's in keeping with the Lucasfilm tradition. Lucas himself struggled to make use of the Star Wars brand after the original trilogy. That's true.
Some people versus George Lucas. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why he sold it. I'm going to be honest. I think he sold it because he got tired of people shitting on him. He got tired of hearing about the prequels and how much people didn't like the prequels. Now, shockingly, people love the prequels and they wish he would come back. But why the hell would he? You know?
That's the problem with everyone's successful and have a story that becomes, such a pop culture phenomenon of Star Wars and such a big moment across, many generations. The only problem is when you do that, it gets out of your control. It goes into the fans and the fandom takes it where they want to take it. And no matter what you do, you're going to piss people off. That's the one bad thing.
I think with some franchises, it becomes such a phenomenon like Star Wars, like you really can't. Unfortunately, you get trapped because you can't upset the apple cart, right, too much because you're going to piss people off. But then they complain if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. I think in some ways, if you've got these ideas that don't really mesh with the existing franchise, like you'd be better off just doing something else. But that's the brand, right? But he's basically saying like even if they get rid of her, they don't think it's going to come back to where it was. I don't think it's going to. It depends on who they put in. They put they put some like purple haired activist in as the head of Lucasfilm. It's going to be more of the same crap as long as all those people at Lucasfilm, those fan hating activists at Lucasfilm are still there. It's going to be the same crap over and over again.
I don't know if they can save it at this point in time. It's too damaged. You'd have to like literally pause it. They're not going to because they're going to go the Mandalorian and Grogu, but you need to literally pause it and then start over a few years later.
Yeah, and that's it's interesting he brings this up because I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about it. I said Star Wars at this point basically dies with Gen X and millennials because it doesn't mean anything to Gen Z. It doesn't mean anything to Gen Alpha. It was a perennial brand that they could have kept, evergreen for years if they handled it right. But because they destroyed it and it's lame, they put a chick in it, they made it gay, they made it lame. Because it's so lame, kids don't care. Like even our kids love Star Wars, but like our son especially, he knew Star Wars from the Clone Wars cartoon and from the Lego games. But it didn't matter. He still bought all the toys. We had tons of the Galactic Heroes and the Lego Star Wars stuff. And he loved Star Wars. Just to him, Star Wars was this newer media, but that was okay. The kids were still buying the toys back then. You never saw Star Wars stuff rotting in the clearance aisle.
Now it's all at Ollie's. You don't even see the clearance aisle. It ends up at Ollie's and it just sits there for years, or in a landfill apparently. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the damage has been done. I think that the only way they could fix it, I don't know. I've given up. I mean, same with Doctor Who. Like I don't think it can be fixed. Like you said, you'd have to hit pause on it. Get people in, but the thing is, Disney doesn't want to do that because Disney is like, no, we got to have a movie every 2 or 3 years to make money. It's like you're making anti-money at this point. What's going on is you're spamming so much bad shit out there that when the good stuff actually does come out, and it does, sporadically we get some good stuff here and there, people don't watch it because there's so much bad.
Here's the thing too, they get like, oh, they did too much stuff, and they had books for years, they had games for years, and none of that ruined it. It just brought the demand more because they were done well. And that's what I'm saying. You can still go back and watch what you like if you still like it, because you don't even like it at all anymore.
I don't even care.
You can still go back and watch what you like. And if you want more Star Wars and you haven't read the books, there's a bunch of books that were written in like the 90s and through the early 2000s that continue what the original was, that are really good, and you can go read those. Get the audiobooks. You can go do that and get better Star Wars than what Disney's brought us. Yeah,
and that's the thing. I mean, honestly, the first thing they could do to try to fix Star Wars, in my opinion, is gut Galaxy's Edge, take all the sequel crap out of it, and reskin it to original trilogy, because that's the one thing that unites all Star Wars fans.
They're not gonna.
The original trilogy is too expensive.
That's why it's too expensive.
Fill in Rivers of America, but we can't spend another couple $1 million to pivot.
It'd be more
Galaxy's
than a couple
Edge.
$1 million. It'd be like probably like hundreds of millions of dollars to do it. But yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yes.
So that is the rumor. If she's still there,
it's real this time, guys.
It's real. Honest to God,
maybe
it's real.
possibly.
According to Puck News, we'll see. But that would make sense given that she sold her house and stuff. She might be. I mean, she's in her 70s, right? And she's got to be tired of this shit. We're tired.
She did it herself. It's like she literally kept shitting out stuff. She's sitting in the pile. I'm tired of shit. Well, then don't do the shit.
Don't.
It's not that hard.
Oh my God. All right. Let's wrap it up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.